Well, good morning. I've had my porridge, I've checked on the chickens, then I checked on the chickens, and every time they shout, go check on the chickens, but all survived the night. The mosquito seems to have left the building, and I woke up bite free for the first time in the third day, so I'm really pleased about that. I've been treating my bites with aloe vera. We have aloe vera here on the property. I'll show you. This is aloe vera. It's a really cool one that seems to have been there for quite some time. Who knows how old she is. She's beautiful, isn't she? Huh? So you ask her, you say, please may I have a leaf to treat myself, and then wait for a moment, and then gently tug on the leaf you feel drawn to, and it should just pop off. Just pull, just like this, not tugging, just gentle like this, and she'll give you a leaf. You say thank you, and then what happens is you just break a bit off, and inside all this lovely fleshy stuff is just perfect for healing your skin, any cuts and bumps, any swelling. I mean, it's good for your diet as well. And there's a really good aloe vera farm called in Alpadrina. If you want to get some beautiful organic aloe vera, run by Ed and Truce. Yeah, so this is what I've been using to take care of my skin after my bites, but it's also good for dry skin as well. So like I say, you just slice it a little bit at a time, and if you keep it in a glass of water, it should serve you really well for days, and there you go, you've got a natural healing organic plant. She's beautiful. So thank you, Pachamama, for providing this beautiful medicine. Yesterday, I didn't really want to share this, and I thought, you know what, it helps better to share what I'm doing. So what I've done is there's a whole load of branches and trees that made a big lump, and what I've done is I've cut it right down into sticks without money leaves and leafy sticks, and these are for the chipper. And then all these leaves here, not that one, but all those there are stripped off leaves and things and dead flowers and bits and pieces that I've just thrown in to create a base layer, which is going to be underneath the mulch, because all this is getting mulched. So I'm going to go through all this, and it seems like, what on earth are you doing that for, and how much time does it take to, but this is all part of the process. This is how we do large areas of landscape, and when we've not got a goat to eat all the leaves and strip the twigs for us, we'd have to do it ourselves. And what we're doing is we're basically taking what there is and we're putting it directly back into feeding the ground. And then what we're going to do over the top of it, because no one wants rotting carbons and nitrogens all over the place. So what we need to do then, I mean, this is all going to, right now it's nitrogen, lovely and green and fresh, but as it dies out, it's going to be the brown carbon stuff. And the in-between process can attract flies. So we're trying to reduce the flies here, and what we'll be doing is we're getting it and then we're layering it, which is very similar to what they call lasagna gardening. So you get your layer of your green stuff and you throw it all down, and then you're going to be covering it with a layer of carbon, which will be the mulch or the chippings. So although it looks like a lot of a mess, to be quite honest, and it also looks like I've done nothing, Until you actually like physically start doing things, you'll realise the amount of labour and time that goes into things. And there's days where you look and you think, for goodness sake, I should have got on, you know, I should have done this, that and the other. The truth is, we're exactly where we need to be for the benefit of Pachamama. And these things take time. Nature doesn't rush. Nature takes her time. You know, Mother Gaia, Pachamama, she's not, you know, she doesn't rush. It's all, and we need to take a moment to think about that really, and appreciate that it's okay to slow down. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be preparing more for the chipper today, and getting things tidied out front still, and really just getting on, because when the chipper comes, hopefully I'll be able to get quite a lot in there chipping, and start being able to really start some much bigger pruning and land management tasks, because there's a lot that needs doing. But we have to start somewhere, and here is a beautiful place to begin. We had tomatoes growing in this section here. I've just pulled out the whole plant. She's definitely at the end of her life. Now, you could chuck it in the compost heap, but if your compost isn't done correctly, you will self-seed your tomatoes and have them growing out your pile. So the heat of the compost through the human manure method will kill off all the seeds that you throw in, so you won't end up distributing more weeds and disease and growing your own plants in the compost pile. That won't happen with the human manure system. So at the moment we're just clearing what there is, and the animals, so the chickens will eat these, what's left tomato, you know, what remains of the tomatoes. They're gonna get rid of all that, and then the rest of it will go into the human manure pile, which is yet to be built, but I'm gonna do that in the next few days. Thought I'd show you all this here. Can you see all the little baby, well, like a whole family of little beetle bugs? They look like ladybugs, but they're not ladybugs. Those two are making ladybug love, or little bug love, and then there's these guys and girls all hanging out, and this must be their little house. So out of respect for them, I'm not going to move that big palm thing. I'm going to leave it there. I was just moving, like the previous people, there's a dead palm here. They've obviously thrown stuff all over and not tidied it up, and I was wondering how well it burnt, in case it could be used for firewood, and it's not ideal for chipping, so it won't be going for chipping, but it's kind of spongy and cool, so there'll be things that I can do with it. But for now I'm just moving the bigger chunks, so that as I chop and drop, which I've been doing all along here, so as I chopped and dropped all the plants, and obviously all these masses of weeds or flowers growing in the wrong place, as we say in permaculture, they're plants growing in the wrong place. As they grow here, we're gonna mulch straight over the top, so there's no need to do anything other than be prepared to chip a whole load of chips, so that it just suffocates them, and they'll all just return back to the earth, return back to Pachamama and fertilise the soil, and as the chips and that go over the top. But we need a grand layer of the wood chips for this. But all in good time. So yeah, cool ladybugs. Oh, and I found a frog, but it was like a really cool looking yellowy frog thing, but it moved so quick. I counted it had 4 legs, but I didn't see a tail, and it shot out from under a little thing and into the grass. So I've promised it I'll leave the little bits behind so it can still have its own little home. So it's good. It's lovely to be working with nature again, isn't it, Batty? I've come to learn that, you know, you should never have plants where the branches all cross and get tangled and rub against each other. And I also know that when it comes to the end of season, grapes and things need cutting right back so they look like they've been massacred, a bit like olive trees. That it's always sad to see all that greenery go, but it's part of the process. So with these, we want to have them so that we can possibly dangle them over the wall, because this is the top bit here and that's down there, so onto the driveway, so we can have a snack and go which is awesome. So what I'm doing is I'm taking off the greenery and we're chopping and dropping, and we're taking the other things back to the basics of the ones that are heading in the right direction already, and the things that aren't in the right direction or that are stopping the other things, they get cut off, because they take the energy too, and the plant will be going to sleep, and then when it wakes up you want it to put all its energy into growing in the correct direction for its ultimate growth and production, which it won't do while it looks like this. Can you see? You see all these things all growing into each other and over each other. It's just getting in here and giving it a little trim back. There's a lovely little one of them little beetle bugs again. Hey, little beetle bug. They're really good for your garden. They eat a lot of your parasites, so they're very welcome here. So at the moment I'm not doing any severe cutbacks unless the plant's at the end of its growing season. Once it looks like it's more sleepy than this, then it'll get a good chop back, but for now I'm only doing the bits that I can see. It's all a slow process, but a little bit at a time, and all the bits get chopped and dropped back onto the earth where it can go for Pachamama. Just looking at these pretty pink flowers here that are coming out. There's quite a few along the base here. I'm not sure what they are. I'll be able to find out. And I'm wondering if they want to move house to a more suitable location. It's a possibility. So that's all the vines done as best as I can for now, and it is looking like a bigger pile. Not much because of all the leaves have all gone down there, and then that need a ladder to get up there, so for now I'm just sticking with things at foot height, but that's much better, and this will be able to come this way then. So it's all tidy and cleaned up, and I'm going to go back now to return to cutting the walnut branches, because that's quite a task just on its own. You know, by the time you've stripped some leaves and chopped and dropped and moved some sticks, there's so much more that still needs to be done, but it's getting there. Well, the chipper has arrived. How beautiful is that? this means that we can utilise all the small wood, we can chip, we can make mulch, we can sort out all the old leaves as well. Bits and pieces all can go in there and it can be turned into a beautiful like mulch. Obviously you've got to be careful what you do, you've got to be careful how much green things that you do put in relation to what brown things are in, otherwise you'll just block up the machine and give yourself a headache. It's only tiny, but it's got so much power. It's called a Dormac SH50SK, and it's just ideal for anything with sticks below the diameter of 5 centimeters. So that's ideal for somewhere with a few acres of land or less, because this little baby here will just make mincemeat out of any piles of sticks really. And by doing that and using a chipper, what you're doing is you're returning the goodness and the nutrients back into the earth. So I will do a little video on how to work it, but not right now, because you might end up with overload after watching today's video, and the little ladybugs and the grapes and the bits and pieces that I've been doing this morning. So I'm going to go and get on with playing with this new toy, because it's awesome. And I'll save the how to use this for tomorrow. Well, I've done a fair bit of cutting, but I've done no chipping. And the reason for that is because I want to be economical with the fuel use. Because fuel and things like that, it's not a sustainable option longer term, and it's certainly not something that's in like just flowing, you know. So what I wanted to do was get a decent sized pile together, because the little pile that I'd created wouldn't last 10 minutes with the chipper, and this pile here will probably take a good hour or so to strip. Tired. By the time that goes in there, that won't last long. So I've managed to do a fair bit of work on this beautiful tree, and if you turn around you can see this is where it's broken down, and that's all where it's clear. So I've done a fair bit of work there, just taking the weight out of the branches and freeing things up so that they can move more. Still got all the other half to go, but at least now we can walk under it. The branches aren't so heavy, things aren't crossing so much. And I gave the tree a bit of Reiki as well, because you know it's having some work done on it, and it's hard to just manage all this weight and all this being looked after and still put energy into all these millions of leaves that it's carrying. So it was a Reiki time, and I wanted to take a picture of the tree, but it's not given me permission, so I haven't done. But there's a beautiful eye in the tree bark, and she's beautiful. So me and the tree have been talking, and I think she's happy that I'm going to take care of her now. So from me, from the old walnut tree, maybe not so old, sorry, and from the Heart Palace, sending lots of love, and we look forward to checking in tomorrow.